What's going on, everybody? CGA Got Game, along with CGA Sports, is back. I really appreciate y'all being patient with my sports content. As you guys know, I had a little bit of a kerfuffle over the last couple of months with YouTube, and a lot of my channels got mysteriously demonetized, and CGA Sports was one of them. And I've been wanting to do sports content. And of course, we're getting into the fall. We got college football, we got basketball season getting ready for training camp. We got the NFL, we got tennis season winding down, stories about Serena retiring. Is she the GOAT? We also got a lot of things coming up here, college basketball and so forth, and so on. So it's right about time to fire up CGA Sports. And we're going to move it over to the CGA Got Game channel and all of that stuff. So do me a favor, like and subscribe to this particular channel and video and so forth and so on. So let's get into the show. We're going to talk about Dawn Staley, South Carolina national championship coach Dawn Staley, or a former WNBA and Olympian Dawn Staley, former great basketball player at Virginia Dawn Staley. Let's go ahead and give her just due. At this particular time, she has decided to cancel her game, her home and home contract with BYU women's basketball team. Now, I know that's going to break a lot of people's hearts is real quick. Okay. Yes. That's going to, I know you guys were ready to tune into that particular game in that series. I know you were waiting with bated breath to get into that series, but unfortunately, you won't get a home and home series with BYU versus South Carolina. I know that's disappointing, but here's the deal. Let's just get down to the nitty gritty here. I got great respect for women's basketball, as I've been a college basketball coach and high school basketball coach for it. And I know Dawn Staley personally. So that might help me not go in on her hardcore, but we just got to go ahead and give her the L for this particular move. And the reason why, let's go ahead and go to the headlines here. We're going to show it to you right there. Let's pop it up on the page. South Carolina, Dawn Staley cancels BYU game over racial incident. And as you guys know, we'll go back and backtrack to story just in case you missed it. Last week, a Duke volleyball player, they were recently subjected to some racial slurs during a match at BYU. That's allegedly. And let's go ahead and give you the details, the nitty gritty about this story. South Carolina and the women's basketball coach, Dawn Staley, has canceled a home and home series with BYU over a recent racial incident with the Cougar. The Cougars yelled a slur at the Duke volleyball player, and the Duke's volleyball player's name is Rachel Richardson. She's a sophomore outside hitter for Duke University, and she tweeted that she had been through some really nasty things, all right? As she's saying it right here, there were some nasty things said about her, and mostly, they should just say racial slurs. Was it the N-word? What was it? Was it like a bed winch? I'm trying to figure out what exactly they could have said at her that would make her feel like she was under pressure. And the story first broke. The first I heard of this particular hoax was through Jason Whitlock. He covered it, and then he talked about TBDailynews.com covering it as well. And what I want to do is I want to get a chance to show you that they were on top of this particular situation very early, and that this player was playing in front of 5,000 to 6,000 people in the open arena in Utah. Obviously, Utah is primarily white, so it's going to take a little bit of, for people who've never traveled. I used to live in Utah, so for 2 years, so I understand how Utah is, but a lot of people have never been there, and you're just going to assume that there's a bunch of racists over in Utah and at BYU. I mean, I know there's some students recently at BYU, some black students that have been going on about, changing the dynamics socially about BYU. Actually had a best friend of mine from high school play football at BYU. He never claimed that there was anything going on there. But of course, because people don't travel and people haven't been anywhere, they're just going to go assume and take this player at their word. She's the only starter. And of course, she was taking some heckling from the fans. And come to find out, now this is important to people who don't know. This is important. Her godmother is a politician on the Democrat side. She's running for judge somewhere in Texas. And she's been very vocal about her disappointment on how BYU has handled the situation, despite the fact that BYU themselves, they said the claim is coming under scrutiny. They themselves are defending themselves. They're like, man, nobody said nothing, all right, to this girl, and she's using her imagination to come to this conclusion. Now, could it be, and I'm going to just be fair, like I said, I've coached college sports. I've been around when situations, and I coached on the women's side, so I've been around situations where young women had struggled during the game, and they want to find a reason to struggle, and a lot of times it's the fans. And the fans are saying some things that they may not be comfortable with. Is it a racial slur? We don't know. We can't really prove it. However, she's playing in front of the 5,000 to 6,000 people. at BYU in their arena, and nobody heard it or everybody co-signed it, right? That's hard to believe, but we can't tell you what the young girl heard. We can just assume that if that one person is saying it in this time and day and age where there's an extensive amount of white guilt, you got that. You got people with phones recording. All right, you can record at the drop of a dime. In this situation right here, nobody recorded, nobody heard it, nobody co-signed it, nobody investigated, nobody called the police, nobody but her heard it. And she then went to her bench and her coaches and probably said, hey, look, there's something going on here. I'm uncomfortable. Security didn't hear it. The referees didn't hear it. The line judge didn't hear it. The band didn't hear it. Nobody heard it. And it would be difficult, just in my experience playing in front of that capacity crowd. It would be, number one, difficult to even pinpoint hearing that type of thing. Number two, it would be difficult for not many, like for other people to hear it and then just continue to go on with life. I just have a lot of questions on that one. And I'm not the only one. I covered this story on my Free Agent Lifestyle live stream channel right when it broke, right when I got the news from TV News. And I said, this doesn't sound right. Just my experience when dealing with capacity crowds, my experience in Utah, my experience with BYU in particularly, my experience in the situation tells me that something isn't right here. Something doesn't add up. And when you think about it, here's the politician's her godmother who's using this to get a little bit of leverage and attention for her political campaign. But when I think about it, I'm like, man, just the scenario just doesn't sound right. Listen, I've coached in front of capacity crowds in Utah itself, and nobody said anything negative to me like that or would have had the guts to say anything like that, because I think it wasn't their fear of me that they had to worry about. Everybody around them probably would have been like, you're going over the line, you're going overboard. But again, most people don't get out. So you're just going to assume, okay, BYU, mostly white, Utah, mostly white. So this is obviously going to be a situation where, I believe that those people would be down there being racist. Okay. What are there racists down there? There's racists everywhere. But would they go to a volleyball game, all right, to express this at this young lady? It just doesn't seem right. And her claims have fallen flat. Just want to show you something real quick. If you haven't followed up with this, her godmother herself, they went through her Twitter. The internet's undefeated. They went through her Twitter, and she was going in on white people over there, right? So she had plenty to say about white folk over there, but of course, that doesn't matter. And she's in a position of power as a judge. And so I don't want to hear about black folk can't be racist when she's being out there racist on her social media. I mean, without even hiding it. I mean, the person in Utah is hiding in plain sight, or is hiding in the crowd, and this woman's hiding in plain sight, being a racist. But let me just show you this particular situation here. Then we'll get to Dawn Staley and why I'm disappointed in her for not taking a stand on this one just to get the right information out. You know what I mean? We can sell wolf tickets all day long, but when it comes down to it, we really need to find the real racists in this country, if there are, if there's such a thing. But we really need to find the real ones. And if we're going to find the real ones, her godmother needs to be put out there as well. As you can see here, if you haven't been following the story, this is the position on the court in which she was saying the racial slurs were being thrown or yelled out at her at a fan. Now, here's the pictures. As you can see here, there are several students here. This person is pretty vocal. Cougars might sound like another word related to ninja. So if you use those words, I'm sure that maybe she got it wrong. Maybe she misheard. I'm not sure. But there's a lot of people in here for him to have the guts, and he looks like he's half breed himself. He would have to have a lot of guts to actually go ahead and say that. Now, everybody's been saying that the fan that was responsible for this was mentally challenged and or banned forever from BYU games. If that was it, then BYU came out and said, yeah, well, that person was banned, but it wasn't because of this incident. It was something else that they were doing, potentially hovering over the players and all of that stuff. Quite the confusion. All right, last point on this one. Dawn Staley then doubles down on stupidity by coming out here saying, nah, man, we ain't going to BYU over this racial incident. And we're not going to take our black players there to their home game, to their home facility, which it says right here, the Gamecocks. All right. They were scheduled to start the season at BYU on November 7th, then play at the Utah campus during the 2023-2024 season. So they were returning the favor, and they were going to split the pot. Listen, most of these games right here, it's a women's basketball college game. They probably were splitting $10,000 at best. maybe a little bit more and some change. That would have been, I mean, BYU might draw a decent crowd. South Carolina might draw a decent crowd, but on a November 7th game right before Thanksgiving break, maybe not. I have no idea, but I think Dawn Staley's trying to say we're not going to reward you and bring our national championship team to there until you clean up the racial problems that you have at BYU. Well, what you call it? BYU sitting around like, yo, what racist problem? All right, we don't have no racist problem, and we investigated it and nothing came up. So, unfortunately, Dawn Staley in the situation. She's taking a political position. She's at the top. She's a national championship coach. She's highly recognizable. She's a black coach. So she feels like she has to take that stand, unfortunately, for the black race instead of calling out the sister. All right, call out this sister for having a poor game and potentially making up a situation where now there's collateral damage and she's affecting everybody economically. That is the major problem. And we need to teach a lesson to that if indeed it is proven, which is going to be hard to do, proven that she lied. All right. The claims are being put up in the air. BYU's holding their defense position. But let's just say, what if this affects BYU football? What if it affects BYU basketball? BYU basketball team, half black team as it is, we're sitting right there. They've never been subjugated to racism, or at least they haven't spoken out about it. By the way, this young lady was part of a group that was to highlight racist situations. She met with them prior to making this claim. Boy, it sounds absolutely suspect all around. Anyway, man, let us know your thoughts on this one. CGA Got Game Channel is back. CGA Sports is back. We will be making some video edits on here. Until then, do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll be back in here. Peace.